Susan and Lloyd Rudolph, two professors from the University of Chicago, are one of those rarest of rare instances where two non-Indians were awarded the Padma Bhushan this January. This unusual gesture is because they are more Indian than many Indians, and they know India better than any Indian political scientist. Their first book, Modernity of Tradition, in 1956, documented the rise of two castes in Tamil Nadu, the Nadars and the Vanniyars, and proved that castes, instead of dying in the face of democracy, will become vehicles of democracy. Since that book in 1956, the duo have written 6 more books: Pursuit of Lakshmi, an essay in Indian political economy, 2 books on Gandhiji, 2 on Rajasthan, and over 100 articles and papers. To Lloyd Rudolph goes the distinction of having forecast a UPA victory in 2004 when every expert predicted an NDA victory. What does Lloyd Rudolph think of the upcoming election? Let's find out. Professor Susan and Lloyd Rudolph, thank you very much for joining us. Well, that's the first question to you. Professor Rudolph, how do you see the upcoming elections? Who do you think has the best chance? What's your gut telling you?
Well, I think the big thing to think about in the next election is which party will be the single largest party that the president, by ordinary rules of the game, the president has to ask the single largest party to form a government. Now, I think the chances are that it's going to be the BJP, but the BJP will have to form a coalition government. And there's where the rub comes. I mean, the talk about Narendra Modi being the prime minister seems to have to be modified by the fact that who will join the BJP in a coalition government. And all you remember way back when the BJP, first time Vajpayee trying to form a government, no one would come to the BJP and they had to give it up.
There are some psephologists, well, not really psephologists, some election surveys which believe that the BJP may get 210 to 120 seats on its own, in which case the bridge to becoming the majority is much less, maybe 50, 55 seats. Do you think the BJP under Mr. Narendra Modi can get that kind of a majority, 210 to 20 seats?
Well, you know, I find it very difficult to say. I mean, I know there are already some polls out, but well, even 50 seats, the question is, where are these 50 seats coming from? Regional parties certainly will be part of it. You remember that the Vajpayee had to accommodate to the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh. Yes, and he had to give up the 3 planks of the BJP's platform, Kashmir and the temple, and modifying the civil code, and so forth. So it may be that it may be 50 seats, but it may be more or less, but then it can be maybe more. So the question is, what kind of concessions will they have to make to form a government? And then the question is, will that regional party accept Narendra Modi as a prime minister?
So is your assessment that there is a very good chance that the BJP will have to work with a lot of third parties, or do you think that it might be a third front that will be backed by either the Congress or the BJP?
Third front. Well, there isn't really much of a third front yet, is there?
No.
No, so I don't think we should get too deep into third front. You know, there's some hopes, but not much concrete action. And then there's the question is, there's the pre-election and the post-election coalitions, and that will affect the outcome of the election, whether people are committed before or afterwards. Afterwards, there's a lot of bargaining. Before, you have to be committed to something like the to make a coalition with the BJP, you have to agree with a lot of what the BJP has to say, and
so your sense is the best, the most likely outcome. How would it look like, you think? BJP with a lot more coalition parties. Is that your what you would place a bet on?
Well, I think the BJP would have would be the single largest party. I think the president will have to ask the BJP to form a government. That'll be pretty. Mr. Pranab Mukherjee being president, I think the R. Venkataraman made it clear that, and it was supported by further practice and so forth, that is a rule that should be followed. It should be very hard not to follow that rule. So it has to be that they will be asked to form the government. So a lot depends, on, as you say, is it 40, 50 seats or a bit more than that? And which regional parties are we talking about? I mean, are we getting into? We don't know what's going to happen in Tamil Nadu. We don't know what's going to happen in Andhra Pradesh. Previous elections, Andhra Pradesh was very decisive for the Congress, and they created Telangana to get some more seats. Maybe they will.
You therefore don't think that the chances of a non-BJP government exist at all?
Oh, I wouldn't say there's going to be a BJP government. I was going to say there's going to be a coalition government, which BJP is, of course, the single largest party. And the question is, who will ally with them under what conditions? And will it be possible for Narendra Modi to be prime minister, or will the conditions of the coalition be such that he may not be? The conditions of the coalition be that somebody else will have to serve as prime minister.
So therefore, I just wanted to know where you would place your bet. At the moment, does it look like the bets are that it would be a non-Modi-led government, or a BJP government, or a Modi-led BJP government? Where would you place your bets?
I would place my bets on a non-Modi-led government, but it depends a lot on how badly the Congress does, in a way. That means how strong the BJP's bargaining position is, and what kind of, as you raised at the beginning of this interview, how many seats they need and from whom they need those seats.
Fair enough.
So I know I'm evading your question, but we're talking great deal of uncertainty at the moment, and then the uncertainty.
So the chances of another election like we saw in '97, following quickly a midterm poll, looks fairly bright for you?
Well, you mean that this is going to be something like a hung parliament?
Yes. Is that
No, I don't think there'll be a hung. Well, since 1989, no one has won a majority to form a government, a majority government. Since that's the 10th general election, and I don't think there's going to be any change from that. That is to say, we're now the 15th.
Yeah.
And so what I am saying, or what we are saying, I think, is that chances of the BJP winning a clear majority, I think, are very slim, very slim.
Oh, absolutely.
Now the question is, Mr. Modi, however, is making he's got the problem of the Muslim vote, and he's got the problem of being pictured by the Congress and others as an extremist. He's working very hard to remove that idea by talking about why Gandhi was such a wonderful leader. I even mentioned Nehru. He's moving. We have written
moving to the center.
We have written a lot about in our work. In fact, I think we're one of the first to talk about the fact of centrist being positioned is that the Indian system does not make for extremist parties, left or right, to win elections. That there is always a very powerful thrust towards centrism. And Mr. Modi's behavior and his speeches show that he's moving towards as fast as he can to the center, endorsing a great deal of nationalist history, which means Congress history, and so forth. So, and he's trying to emphasize that he's not an extremist with respect to Muslims. He's a great developer of the state of Gujarat.
Final question on that theme. If indeed Mr. Modi were to make a 220 or a 230 kind of seat, and he becomes a little more unchallenged as a leader, would you revise that theory that India always has a centrist as a prime minister? Just
turn your question a little bit differently. Why is Narendra Modi talking about Gandhi? Why is he talking even about Nehru? Why is he trying to be he's trying to be a centrist. He's trying to say, I'm not an extremist. He's trying to say that, people shouldn't think I'm against Muslims or something like that.
What you're saying is that even if Mr. Modi becomes the next prime minister, chances are that he will move to the center.
He is moving to the center. He can't win this. He can't get a single largest party, but he is moving. It's quite clear he's moving decidedly towards the center. And I was going to say the second point is, of course, to make people forget that he has a Muslim problem. He's going to say, Gujarat is, most rapidly developing state, and I will improve the economy. So the economy is a question, not communal questions. And so now you have 100. We wrote sometime years ago 122 seats, in which you have 10% or 20% or 10% Muslim voters. And does he think, maybe he thinks he can make some of those voters not vote against him, because that's a lot of seats not to be able to win the constituencies with a substantial or 20% or less Muslim voters. So I mean, the point is he is moving to this. His whole campaign now is centrist. All right, I'll have to take my first break on that note. A person who has got it right in the past is telling us that he would place his first bets on a BJP-led government, but maybe not with Modi as Prime Minister. And the second bet he would place is that if indeed Mr. Modi becomes Prime Minister, he would be way more centrist. Indeed, he thinks that he's already very centrist. We'll take a break on that note. We'll come back with more questions for two experts who know more about India than anyone else I know.